も7代目と同じところへ送ってやるよ、ボルト。
こうなるしかなかったのか。
そうだ。忍びの時代は終わる。
Welcome back, guys. AnimeScale here, and today we are doing Boruto versus Kawaki. I know some people think it's too early to make this comparison since we haven't reached a time skip yet, but I think we have enough material to go over. We're going to talk about Boruto's new transformation that appeared in yesterday's chapter 63 and give the first scaling for Kawaki. So now let's get started. Boruto took more after Minato than Naruto. At the beginning of the series, he had already learned 2 different chakra natures. Unfortunately, none of that really holds a candle to Kawaki. Even in his base, he's a force to be reckoned with. Basically, Kawaki's entire body is one big ninja tool, giving him capabilities a normal shinobi can only dream of. For one thing, he has pretty crazy regeneration, so even if Boruto could do something to him, it wouldn't hurt much. Secondly, thanks to his body being the way it is, he can change his limbs into a shield or large spears, all of which are a bit too much for Boruto to handle. The thing is, he doesn't even need any of these things. Kawaki is naturally very, very strong in taijutsu. He was someone personally trained by Jigen for years. One punch from him would be overkill. With the scientific ninja tools, Boruto can store up massive techniques and use them whenever he wants. Would this be enough to close the gap between him and Kawaki? Not really. I mean, Boruto's biggest amp here is the fact that he can perform jutsus he wouldn't be able to, while Kawaki, well, is a big ninja tool. The vessel is more than fast and strong enough to effortlessly dodge anything that Boruto can throw at him. Meanwhile, it's not like Boruto is any more durable than he was before. He's still only one good punch away from getting knocked out by Kawaki. Boruto improves yet again when he finally ends up learning many of the techniques he was using ninja tools for and gets some genuine experience under his belt. He's stronger and smarter, making him a much deadlier fighter. The gap between Boruto and Kawaki now becomes smaller, but Kawaki's speed and taijutsu are still too much for this Boruto to handle. Now granted, we are still scaling base Kawaki, but I have to mention that jutsus are irrelevant against him since he can absorb them with karma. So it all comes down to hand-to-hand combats, and Kawaki is a lot stronger than Boruto in this field. Things definitely start to change once Boruto activates his karma. Boruto can now absorb ninjutsu, but he can't really do this consciously. This is more of a thing he unconsciously does in life or death scenarios. Would this still make him a decent match for Kawaki in his base form? Probably, since karma also enhances physical abilities and ninjutsu. If Kawaki does end up using his own karma though, this fight isn't even close. I mean, there's a huge gap between the two as it is, but Kawaki has lived with his karma for years. Everything Boruto can only sort of do by instinct, Kawaki can do on purpose. This guy was casually absorbing everything Garou could throw at him, and easily dealt with the outer member with a blast comparable in size to a mini-tailed beast ball. Just the collateral damage caused by the explosion was going to one-shot Team 7, and Boruto barely managed to absorb this thing. A serious fight 1v1 would result in a slaughter. At some point, Boruto did start to take his karma seriously and put in a genuine effort to try and master it. Absorbing jutsu whenever he wants is still not something he can manage though. Still, with this new boost, combined with his battle experience, Boruto was able to overwhelm one of Naruto's shadow clones. Even his teammates Mitsuki and Sarada were astonished by seeing Boruto this fast and stronger. Unfortunately for Boruto, Kawaki can do everything he does with his karma and also absorb jutsus. Some of you might be wondering about the prosthetic arm Naruto gives Kawaki. This doesn't actually make him any stronger, since it's more a symbolic thing than anything. If anything, it probably even makes him weaker. We mentioned one of Kawaki's abilities being the fact that he can weaponize his body. Well, he can't do that anymore with his right arm. This is a big nerf, considering how much Kawaki relied on this ability in his fight against Garou. Still, this nerf doesn't really do much to bridge the gap between Kawaki and Boruto at this point in the story. Boruto isn't the only one that keeps getting stronger. Kawaki is no slouch either. Before using his karma, Boruto had a pretty good chance against Kawaki in his base form. All of that changes again when Kawaki starts taking his ninja training seriously and actually learns how to use chakra. Not only can Kawaki now use fire style, he can also use the shadow clone jutsu. Kawaki's shadow clone also just happens to be the single most important shadow clone in the entire series, showing that he's also a very smart fighter, just like Boruto. Now that he has more techniques under his belt, he can use them in many of the clever ways that Boruto himself can, even in his base form that probably makes him more than a match for Boruto.
カーマそのものは消えたかもしれぬ。
Boruto, or should I say Momoshiki, in his form is so strong that he ended up wounding adult Sasuke, a character way stronger than Kawaki. While sure there are more caveats to that, even with those, this is an entirely new level of power. We can't really put Kawaki against someone like this, even with his karma. Instead, we're going to consider Kawaki if he used his advanced stage of karma. In this form, Kawaki's body itself would change, looking more and more like a true Otsutsuki. We don't know how strong Kawaki would be in this form. The only time we ever saw it was when Jigen broke into Naruto's house to take back his vessel. Still, we are giving this form a lot more points, being an advanced form of karma. Needless to say that this fight wouldn't be very close either. Kawaki is a kid who just got absurd power, fighting off against an actual Otsutsuki. Even if Momoshiki is weaker thanks to being in Boruto's body and not being able to use chakra, there is no way he loses here. If you thought that was unfair, it only gets worse when Boroshiki actually has some chakra to play with. After absorbing Naruto's chakra, he was able to make a gigantic Rasengan that looked a lot like the one that ended up taking out Momoshiki himself. Something on this scale would instantly one-shot Kawaki. None of this is to mention all of the other abilities an Otsutsuki might have up their sleeve. Current Boruto is a lot stronger than Kawaki. He has gotten a lot better with his karma. He's able to finally absorb jutsu whenever he feels like it, while Kawaki has only been nerfed. He no longer has access to his karma, having to rely on his base form and his new jutsus to see him through. As further proof, in Chapter 58, the two squared off and it seemed like an even fight until Boruto's physical enhancements and jutsu absorption were just too much for Kawaki to handle. And yesterday in Chapter 63, after getting beaten up by Code, Boruto entered this form that looks very similar to his Boroshiki transformation. He has the same aura he had against Boro, but this time he still has karma marks on his body and doesn't have the horn Boruto snapped off a few chapters back. We don't know why the horn isn't regrowing, but it might be due to Amado's pills to slow down the Otsutsufication process. This time Boruto might still have complete control over his body while exploiting Momoshiki's insane strength. Speculations aside, we know a lot more about this form in the upcoming chapter of the manga, but for sure this Boruto smokes Kawaki.
忍びの時代は終わる。
俺は忍びだ。
And finally, we have the most hypothetical fight we are going to get into, since it's going to happen after the time skip. Eventually, Boruto is not only going to master his karma, but he's also going to learn how to purposefully use his Jogun. Now, as for what abilities all of that might actually give him, we have no idea. Kawaki, meanwhile, will at some point get his karma back. We know from the series that while Kawaki's karma is gone, his body is still Otsutsukified to some extent. It's likely he'll pick right back from where he left off once he gets his karma back. With a few years, he'll be much stronger too, able to use his advanced karma stage however he wants. It's a little impossible to say who might win this fight, but I'll give the edge to Boruto thanks to his Jogun. This is something that's been built up and foreshadowed for the entire series, so it has to have some crazy abilities we can't even imagine yet. This will probably give Boruto the edge in his eventual fight to the death with his brother. That's it for the list. As always, this list is just my personal opinion, so you guys let me know if you think I got any of these scalings wrong. Thanks for watching. AnimeScale out. Bye.
こうなるしかなかったのか。
そうだ。忍びの時代は終わる。